Namaste. We've been talking about sexual self-control, so let me keep on in that line a little bit longer. I don't want to beat this poor thing to death, but it's very important to understand that when you go beyond sexual desire, you stop being a man or a woman. In fact, we are not essentially men or essentially women, and in one lifetime a person can be a man. In another lifetime, the same person can become a woman. And I think that basically we may be one or the other, but in order to achieve balance between these two, the experience of being both a man and a woman is essential. When men become balanced, they become more gentle, more kind. They think more on other people. Even their physical bodies show this difference. And it isn't as if suddenly they talk soprano. In fact, my voice has become much deeper. But you find that your body becomes less just muscle-bound and so on. And women, too, will develop masculine traits in the sense of being more determined, less inclined to defer and so on. I've noticed that when you have men and women together in a party, often men are completely silent. The women do all the talking. Why is that? I think men can feel sort of suffocated by women, and women often feel bullied by men. All these differences must be overcome in society too. And I think it's very important. I know this is an issue in India. Well, it's an issue all over the world, that women have to be equal of men on every level. And of course, when women have children, they have to leave the job for a while at least. These are things over which there is no control. But those countries where women are always put down, in America, and America, I think, was a somewhat advanced country in this respect. Look how long it took them after the Declaration of Independence, after the formation of independence in America, for blacks to get the vote and women to get the vote. It should have been an understood thing from the beginning. Women, blacks, they're all the same. We have the same basic nervous system. We're only given these differences for various reasons that have nothing to do with our merit. Men and women are as equal to each other as two sides of one coin. But they have different emphases. And this is something that is good for men to understand. This is why, although it's good to be a brahmachari, it's good to go off in the forest and just live alone and so on, still I have to say that if men and women are together, they help to bring out those qualities in one another. Therefore, marriage is a good institution because it not only provides protection for the children and so on, but also because it helps you to limit your sexual inclination. Otherwise, if you look for a different partner all the time, you find yourself that with this variety, just going adventuring everywhere, it's not good for you. So marriage is a good thing. Now, one thing that I noticed with my guru's disciples, that almost all the highly advanced ones either were married or had been married. He said that we should be brahmacharis if we could be. He was all for that. I'm all for that. But I have to say that I have noticed this, that in our communities, it was necessary for me to start Ananda and allow the sexes to work together and mix together. It just was not possible to do it otherwise. I did try to create a monastic order, and it was not possible. The men and the women, the boys and the girls, you could say, had to mix together. And sooner or later they got married and the whole order fell apart. Well, but the other aspect of it is that if people go and live alone, they become one-sided. And men tend to think that all that really matters is reason, and women tend to think that all that matters is feeling. And I have noticed that many women in monasteries, in nunneries, they become very sort of repressed. It doesn't seem to be a good thing. It seems to me that normally it's a better thing for people to be with each other, but less with each other. If you can be apart, try not to have physical contact or eye contact. Minimize it. When people embrace each other like that, I don't like hugging. It seems to me just too physical a way of expressing my affection for another person. I much prefer the namaskar. If people do embrace me, it's not that I'm horrified by it. I don't sort of answer, stand back, I am armed. It would be absurd to say that. But I don't respond because I really don't feel that I'm closer to anybody for grasping him. I feel a much more closeness to people when I can feel a certain distance. I know that friendship, there should always be a certain distance. There shouldn't be, they say familiarity breeds contempt. There should be with your friends a certain respect and not the excessive familiarity. Oh, come on and have a drink. That's not, you don't want that kind of friends. There should be dignity in friendship. There should be a certain amount of separateness. That will help to fan that kind of friendship which is based on mutual respect and appreciation. The other is demeaning. And so with the sexes also, keep your distance, keep centered in yourself. Don't enjoy the company of the other sex in too outward a way. It's a dangerous thing to do that. But if you can, don't look into their eyes too much. Don't touch them if you can help it. The main thing about it, the real contact is first in the eyes and also in the touch. Because sex is actually the physical side of the soul's wish to touch the whole universe. So the more you can remove that sense of touch from your relationships, then you will notice that your energy begins to go outward and to feel in contact with everything. These are all very important points, and I think that it's well to mention them for every devotee, because without a certain self-control, and self-control does not mean only energy, only sexual energy. It means in everything. For example, in the next stanza here, the Gita says, O Arjuna, yoga is not for him who eats too much, or who fasts too much, who sleeps too much, or who sleeps too little. One who is temperate in eating, recreation, working, sleeping, and wakefulness attains yoga, which destroys all suffering. Now some people go to great extremes to concentrate on the negative side of renunciation, and they starve themselves and they beat themselves, and self-flagellation used to be a common practice in the Catholic Church. People would wear hair shirts. Well, a hair shirt makes you itch all over. If you want to get out of body consciousness, it may help you to wear a hair shirt in the thought of reminding you that this body is something to get rid of. But if you're constantly being reminded of the body, is it all that helpful? Extreme renunciation is not a good thing for anybody. Extreme fasting will debilitate you. You need to eat right. Krishna is very much against this idea of extreme asceticism. But if you eat normally, live normally, and don't do anything for show, and that's another aspect to the danger of excessive asceticism, it can make people feel proud. I am holier than thou. Look at me. I've heard renunciates sort of arguing with each other that I've given up this, well, I've given up that, and all they've done is feed their own egos. We've got to get rid of that ego if we want to find God. So in moderation, there is above all the benefit that you don't draw attention to yourself. You don't draw attention in your own mind to your body. You just be normal and then remember God. This is the beauty of the Bhagavad Gita as opposed to many, many spiritual books. Do everything in moderation. There was a movie called Lost Horizon, a very interesting one, but they talk about moderation and being moderate even in your moderation. And as I look at that movie, it's a very interesting movie. It has certain things that are not all that pleasant. All these people who come together, they're such exaggerated caricatures of human nature that it's a little hard to buy the thought that they were all on this one plane together. But that principle of moderation, it should not, however, and this is the important point, moderation should not be an excuse for not trying hard. You have to give all your effort to God. And so most people, moderation means moderation in excellence, moderation in trying, moderation in dedication. I do not mean that, and I think that that's what that movie was implying. That is not the truth. You have to be moderate in your excessive outward things, but you have to be one-pointed in God. If you can keep your mind on God one-pointedly for even 24 hours, you will have some experience of God. So the more you can understand that, don't be moderate in your spiritual efforts. Be moderate in those things that support those spiritual efforts. You have to feed yourself more moderately. You have to eat moderately. I remember one evening, my guru said to me, "You haven't had your dinner." I said, "No, sir. I want to have my stomach free so that I can meditate more deeply." And he said, "You must eat it." And I tried to kid him out of it. I couldn't imagine that he was really serious. But he said, "It's very important. Now you're young and your body is strong, but if you don't give it the proper elements, then in your old age you will find all sorts of aches and pains, and they will hamper your spiritual growth. So have a little something, a little cottage cheese, a little chana, dalna, little lettuce or something, just enough to keep your body satisfied." Now, many people who are sincere and who go well spiritually don't eat 3 times a day. They eat 1 time a day, and they make a point of eating only before noon. Well, I'm not able to comment on that, but I do say this: be moderate. In his case, maybe he was talking only to me. Maybe this was my particular need. I think that was very possibly true, because eating 3 times a day doesn't seem like a necessary thing. 2 at the most seems fine. But he told me, eat 3 times a day. Well, he was being moderate. He was giving me advice, perhaps only for me, but he was saying, be moderate in your eating if you want to find God. And this is what Krishna is saying here too. Moderate in your eating. It doesn't come to somebody who fasts too much. It's true that fasting certainly can develop your spiritual consciousness, because the less you give to your body, the more the energy tends to flow upward to the brain. Gandhi's long fasts were good for him spiritually. But on the other hand, as a norm, this is not a good thing. Fasting should be done, again, in moderation. My guru recommended that you do fast 1 day a week. And then he said every month, fast on fruit juices, not solid matter. These are good things. But excessive sleep, depriving yourself of sleep, all the exaggerated things that people do in order to punish their bodies, to free their souls. You don't have to punish your body. You have to befriend your body. Krishna was saying, he who is the friend of the self is its greatest friend. He was the enemy of the self, is his own greatest enemy. And part of being a friend of the self is to understand that be kind to your body, and then your body will be kind to you. And although I've had to have many physical trials in my life, I had arthritis so badly that when they finally operated on my hips, they found that the thigh had lost 2 inches of length just by bone, grinding on bone. Yes, it was not a pleasant time in those years of my life when I had that intense pain every time I walked anywhere. Finally, I gave in and had this operation, and it's been good for me in many ways. I'm grateful for it. But these things are not due to immoderation in my living. It's probably karma and that sort of thing. Maybe I've helped other people, I don't know. But the main thing is that be kind to your body. Don't treat it like a foe, and it will support your spiritual efforts. And as you get older, you will find that you have the energy you need to grow. So be kind to your body, be kind to your mind. When you have a wrong thought, don't get all excited and blame yourself and shout. And the more you think that way, the more you're affirming that quality. So just say, well, that's not me. Anytime you fall into some delusion, just say, that's not I. Remember, sooner or later you're going to have to come out of these delusions. Why not now? Don't get all excited. Don't get all depressed. Don't blame yourself. Blame is one of the great obstacles on the spiritual path. But if you can always say that no matter what I am, no matter how wrong I am, as my guru often said, pray this way. Divine Mother, naughty or good, I am your child, and you must release me. So never put your mind on your faults. They exist. You wouldn't be here if you didn't have them. But so does everybody have. And if they don't have your trouble, it may be because they're too busy having their own problems. Don't blame anyone. Don't blame yourself. Just say that every time I fall, I'll just get up and keep running. And later in this chapter, Krishna talks about what happens to the fallen yogi. Well, any step you make in the right direction, and we'll get into that again a bit later, every step you make in the right direction will bring you freedom from karma and bring you great blessings. Don't ever hate yourself. Don't ever blame yourself. Just say, I'm always trying, and I will try forever. And if it takes forever, I will try forever. But I am your child, and naughty or good, I want to know you, and I do love you. And every fault I have, I pray that you will help me to overcome. Joy to you.